Rebecca Brown fell in love with creative nonfiction, a form that fits her like a glove. She has the ability to disarm the reader with a winning combination of candor, vulnerability, and wit. She'll be leaving the Twin Cities after graduation to join her family in the state of Washington. I hope the state is ready for her.
I'm Rebecca Brown, and this is a creative nonfiction piece that I think is going to be part of a bigger work, but we'll see. I don't really want to jinx myself yet. And the working title is Body Language. To my feet. I'm sorry for tripping up the stairs this morning. I have never been incredibly coordinated, especially not in the morning. I think it's something in my blood. Also, I'm sorry you got stuck attached to the weakest ankles on the face of the planet. They are constantly bending at the wrong angle, and no matter how hard I try to support them, they always cave, usually inward. I've tried talking to them. I've tried convincing them to shape up, but they refuse no matter what I do. I can't remember where we were. I know I was only 7 or 8, so we were probably in British Columbia. Not only did the province house most of my extended family, it also had a slew of wonderful camping locations. My parents had always enjoyed communicating with nature. They still do, but both are too busy now to get out more than 3 or 4 times a year. Back then, we were off nearly every weekend. Although having 3 small children probably made camping a chore, my mother handled it like a pro. She was constantly keeping us entertained and away from poison ivy. By the end of the night, we were all so worn out, we'd easily fall into sleeping bags and be dead asleep as soon as our heads hit the pillows. I remember sitting next to my mother, my head resting on her thigh, her hands stroking my hair. The trees around us were lit with twilight, and the nightlife around us was beginning to stir. My sisters were sitting across the fire pit roasting marshmallows, or more accurately, catching marshmallows on fire and then flinging them into the slowly dying embers of the campfire. My father was next to my mother, one hand rubbing his head and the other holding a bottle of beer loosely. There was an easy, comfortable silence that only happened at the end of a long day. Want to make me a s'more, girls? My father never cooked his own marshmallows, even though he was the champion at perfectly browning them. Becca left the chocolate on the picnic table. If she gets it, I'll cook the mallow. My eldest sister was second best at roasting marshmallows. She made sure everyone knew it. Instead of arguing and complaining like I usually would, I stood up and began to move towards the picnic table. There was a sharp stab in my ankle as I stepped and stumbled slightly, and then began to fall over into the fire pit. I could feel the dying embers licking at my back and legs. The heat prickled into my jeans and pulled at my skin. Before my butt could hit, my mother had reached out and snatched the collar of my fleece. I was strangled for a split moment, suspended over coals. My mother tightly fisting my collar, I gagged loudly and she pulled me forward harshly. I landed with a thump, knees going down first, and then my head hitting her stomach with a sound thud. I remember being upset that my mother had choked me, not that my fleece was singed. To my tongue. I hear that you are composed of many muscles covered by a thick mucous membrane. I'm sorry, but you sound disgusting. Without you, though, I wouldn't be able to form words and enjoy their sounds. I'm sorry for frequently biting you as I pronounce these sounds. I just sometimes get so excited by words and the way my tongue feels and curls around my teeth and lips. I also love the way things taste, and I owe that to you as well. I'm sorry for scalding you on hot things or freezing you on cold things. I just get so impatient sometimes. And I'm sorry for the pain those 4 years of braces caused you. All those teeth wrestling you out of the way, squeezing you back. I think that I want to get my tongue pierced, I told my coworker once. It was another busy Saturday at Macy's, but instead of being useful, I was leaning against the candy counter talking to Hannah, the candy worker. She was a small woman with narrow features and brown hair. Hannah stops putting out malted milk balls and pulls a face. I feel taken aback. Didn't everyone want their tongue pierced? What, you don't think it's a good idea? Hannah shakes her head, nose still wrinkled. Then her expression clears as she turns contemplative. But I don't think anything but your ears should be pierced, or your belly button. I laugh. There's no point in getting my belly button pierced. I wouldn't be showing it to anyone. You show your tongue to people? She grins and pulls out a box of brightly colored gummy bears. I lean against the candy counter, customers giving us strange looks and a wide berth, which isn't very useful when you're trying to sell something. Well, no, but it's the principle of the thing, right? Like wearing leopard-printed underwear. She just laughs loudly and continues to rearrange candy. A manager passes by, and I move away to assist the elderly couple that have been glaring at me for several minutes. I doubt they'd like me anymore if I had a tongue piercing.